The research vessel Curiosity drifted silently through the darkness of space, its white hull gleaming under the distant light of Tau Ceti. Inside the bridge, Captain Alex Morgan looked at the main screen with wide eyes. After 3 years of travel, they had found it, a blue-green planet with swirling white clouds. The first potentially habitable world outside our solar system that humans had ever visited. "It's beautiful," Alex whispered, running a hand through his short brown hair. The bridge crew nodded in agreement, their faces lit by the glow of the screen. Chief Science Officer Lisa Wright stood beside him, her clipboard forgotten in her hands. Atmosphere readings show oxygen, nitrogen, and trace gases similar to Earth. Temperature readings are within human comfort range. She turned to Alex, her eyes bright with excitement. "Captain, we've done it. We've actually done it." The Curiosity was small by naval standards, but it represented the pinnacle of human engineering. 23 crew members, the best and brightest Earth had to offer, had volunteered for this one-way mission of exploration. The ship could send data back to Earth, but the crew knew when they left that they would never return home. They were to be the first human colony beyond our solar system. "Alert all hands," Alex said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "I want everyone to see this." As the crew gathered to witness humanity's greatest discovery, Dr. Samantha Powell worked in her lab, surrounded by linguistic algorithms and communication theories. The tall, slender xenolinguist had spent the journey, developing systems to communicate with any intelligence they might encounter. No one truly expected to find alien life, but Samantha had insisted on preparing anyway. "Sam, you need to see this," called Eric Green, the communications officer, from the doorway of her lab. His normally calm face was flushed with excitement. "We found a planet, a real habitable planet." Samantha looked up from her computer, pushing her glasses back up her nose. "That's wonderful, Eric. I'll be up in a minute." "There's more," Eric said, his voice dropping. "We've detected artificial structures on the surface." The lab went silent, except for the soft hum of computers. Samantha stood so quickly, her chair rolled away behind her. "What did you say?" 20 minutes later, the entire crew crowded the observation deck, staring at the magnified images of the planet's surface. There, undeniably artificial, stood structures, towers and domes of an alien design, clustered near what appeared to be a large body of water. "We're not alone," Lisa whispered, saying. Aloud what everyone was thinking, Captain Morgan turned to address his crew. "This changes everything. Our mission parameters included first contact protocols, even though none of us expected to use them." He nodded to Samantha. "Dr. Powell, I believe your expertise is now the most valuable asset on this ship." "Before," Samantha could respond. A warning alarm blared through the ship. The crew rushed back to their stations as Eric's voice came over the intercom. "Captain to the bridge. Unknown objects approaching from the planet's surface." The mood on the bridge shifted from wonder to concern as the radar showed multiple objects rising from the planet, moving directly toward the Curiosity. 7 objects. "Captain," reported Security Chief Ben Nelson, his hands moving quickly over his console. "Based on their speed and trajectory, they appear to be vessels of some kind." "Defensive posture," Alex ordered, though the Curiosity had only minimal defensive capabilities. It was a research vessel, not a warship. "Dr. Powell, prepare to broadcast your first contact message on all frequencies." Samantha nodded, her hands trembling slightly as she loaded the carefully crafted message, a series of mathematical sequences, followed by simple pictographs designed to establish peaceful intent. "They're surrounding us," Ben reported as the alien vessels took positions around the Curiosity. They were sleek, angular ships with a metallic purple sheen. No windows were visible, no obvious weapons, but their positioning was unmistakably strategic. "Broadcasting now," Samantha said, sending humanity's first message to an alien intelligence. Minutes passed in tense silence. Then, a response. Strange symbols appeared on their communication screen. Samantha's software began analyzing the patterns, searching for meaning. I think they're asking who we are and why we're here," she said, though uncertainty tinged her voice. "Tell them exactly that," Alex said. "We are humans, peaceful explorers from Earth." Samantha crafted the response, trying to match the syntax patterns she had detected. The message was sent. The response came faster this time. More symbols, more complex dots. Samantha frowned as she studied them. "Something's wrong," she murmured. The language pattern shifted. "I'm not sure if ... double quotes." Her eyes suddenly widened. "Captain, I think they're warning us. Or threatening us. The pattern matches aggressive." Before she could finish, the alien vessels began to emit a pulsing light. "Energy reading spiking," Ben shouted. "They're charging weapon systems." "Broadcast again," Alex ordered, his voice tight. "Make it clear we mean no harm." "The translator might be wrong," Samantha said quickly, fingers flying over her keyboard. "Let me try a different approach." But it was too late. The nearest alien vessel fired a beam of intense blue energy that sliced through the Curiosity's hull like it was paper. Warning alarms blared as oxygen began venting into space. "Hull breach on Deck 3, someone shouted. "Get to the escape pods," Alex ordered, though he knew there was nowhere to escape to Dot as chaos erupted around them. Eric Green made a decision. He ran to his communication station and began transmitting everything, sensor data about the planet, images of the alien vessels, and a final message from the Curiosity. "This is the Earth vessel Curiosity," he said into the transmitter, his voice steady despite the ship shaking around him. "We have made contact with an alien civilization at Tau Ceti. They have responded with hostility. We came in peace. They did not. Save yourselves." He added all ship's data, including Samantha's translation attempts and the alien messages, then set the transmission to repeat continuously on all frequencies toward Earth. More beams struck the ship. Systems failed across the Curiosity. The bridge filled with smoke. As circuits overloaded Dot, Captain Alex Morgan looked around at his dying ship and crew. They had come so far, achieved so much, only to end like this. His last order was simple. "Complete that transmission, Eric. Earth needs to know." As the Curiosity broke apart under the alien assault, the automated communications array, protected in its own section of the ship, continued to broadcast toward Earth. The message would take 8 years to reach home, traveling at the speed of light across the vast emptiness of space. 8 years later, on a quiet night at the Deep Space Listening Array in New Mexico, a technician named Joe Brady spilled his coffee when his equipment picked up the signal. At first, he thought it was a prank. Then, as the data began to download, he realized what he was seeing. Humanity's first deep space mission had found intelligent alien life, and that life had destroyed them without mercy. 2 days later, the final message from the Curiosity played. On every screen across Earth, "We came in peace. They did not. Save yourselves." Within 24 hours, the nations of Earth began to mobilize. The age of human innocence was over. The age of war had begun. General Catherine Martinez stood before the United Nations Security Council, her uniform crisp and her posture rigid. The large screen behind her showed the final moments of the Curiosity, played on a loop for the last 3 months across every news channel on Earth. 8 years had passed since the crew's death, but for Earth, the wound was fresh and raw. "Ladies and gentlemen," Catherine said, her voice echoing in the silent chamber, "for the first time in human history, we face a threat from beyond our world. The aliens who destroyed the Curiosity, without provocation, have technology far beyond our own. but they have made a critical error. She paused, looking at each council member in turn. They underestimated humanity's resolve. 5 years ago, Catherine had opposed the militarization of space. Now, she stood as the head of the newly formed Earth Defense Force, tasked with protecting the planet and seeking justice for the 23 lives lost on the Curiosity. The data sent back by Communications Officer Green gives us a fighting chance, she continued. We have images of their ships, partial readings of their weapon systems, and most importantly, we know where they are. In a laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Jason Carter worked without rest. Dark circles hung under his eyes, and his desk was littered with empty coffee cups. On his computer screen, images of the alien vessels rotated slowly, their purple hulls gleaming under Tau Ceti's light. Jason had not slept well since learning that his wife, Linda Carter, the Curiosity's medical officer, had been killed. His grief had transformed into determination. If he could understand the aliens' technology, humanity might stand a chance. Dr. Carter? A young assistant stood in the doorway. The UN Security Council is voting on the defense budget. General Martinez asked if you'd made any progress. Jason rubbed his tired eyes. Tell her I've found something. He pointed to his screen, where a section of an alien ship was highlighted. See this? It's their propulsion system. They're using a form of gravity manipulation we've theorized, but never achieved. But I think I know how to replicate it. Across the globe, former enemies set aside their differences. China and the United States combined their manufacturing capabilities. Russia opened its titanium reserves. The European Union dedicated its scientific institutions to weapon development. For the first time in history, Earth moved with one purpose: survival. In orbit, shipyards grew where once there had been only satellites. Raw materials streamed up from Earth on newly designed mass drivers. The first warship, the Retribution, took shape under the watchful eye of Chief Engineer Frank Ortiz. We're reinforcing the hull with the new carbon-titanium alloy, Frank explained to President Laura Bennett during our inspection tour. The president had aged a decade in the year since the Curiosity's message arrived. The weight of humanity's future pressed down our shoulders. Will it be enough? She asked quietly, watching workers in spacesuits weld massive plates to the ship's frame. Frank nodded, though uncertainty flickered in his eyes. The alloy should withstand direct hits from weapons, similar to what destroyed the Curiosity. And Dr. Carter's adaptation of their propulsion system will give us speeds we never thought possible. How many ships can we build in time? 50 for the first wave, Frank said. Not as many as we'd like, but each one carries enough firepower to level a city. President Bennett nodded, her expression grim. Let's hope it's enough. In training facilities around the world, soldiers and pilots prepared for a war unlike any humanity had fought before. Among them was Lieutenant Grace Miller, whose brother had served as the Curiosity's botanist. Grace stood out in the simulator, her reflexes and tactical thinking unmatched. As she climbed out of the machine after another successful run, her instructor approached her. Lieutenant Miller, you've been assigned to the Retribution, he said, handing her transfer papers. Commander West requested you personally as his tactical officer. Grace's heart raced. The Retribution would lead the Earth fleet to Tau Ceti. She would be at the forefront of humanity's response. Thank you, sir. When do I report? Tomorrow. The fleet launches in 3 weeks. That night, families around the world held their loved ones close. No one knew what would happen when humanity took its first steps into interstellar war, but everyone understood the stakes. It wasn't just about vengeance for the Curiosity. It was about securing humanity's right to exist among the stars. In his private study, Dr. Jason Carter looked at a photo of his wife Linda. We're going back, he whispered to her image. And this time, we're not going in blind. The day of launch arrived with clear skies. The 50 ships of Earth's first wave hung in orbit, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight. On the bridge of the Retribution, Commander Alan West addressed his crew. 5 years ago, when we received the Curiosity's final message, I was a commercial airline pilot, he said, looking around at the faces watching him. Many of you were students or office workers, or had jobs that seemed distant now. None of us expected to be here, preparing to travel across the stars to face an alien threat. But here we stand, because when humanity was tested, we refused to cower. On the Retribution's tactical station, Lieutenant Grace Miller checked her. Systems one final time. The weapons under her control were the most powerful ever created by human hands. Beside her, communications specialist Paul Rivera monitored the fleet-wide channel. All ships report ready, Commander, Paul said. Commander West nodded and opened a channel to Earth control. This is the Retribution. The fleet is prepared for departure. General Catherine Martinez's voice came through clearly. You carry the hopes of Earth with you, Commander. Your mission is clear. Reach Tau Ceti, determine the aliens' capabilities and intentions, and respond with appropriate force. The Curiosity went in peace. You go in strength. Understood, General. West turned to his navigation officer. Set. Course for Tau Ceti. Prepare for gravity drive activation. Across the fleet, newly designed engines hummed to life. The stars ahead seemed to stretch and bend as the ships accelerated to speeds humans had only dreamed of before. Earth grew small behind them, then vanished entirely. Humanity had taken its first united step into the galaxy. They went not as explorers, this time, but as warriors, carrying with them the memory of 23 pioneers who had given their lives for a dream of peaceful contact. The aliens who had destroyed that dream would soon learn that humanity's response to aggression was not fear, but righteous fury. The fleet of Earth ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Tau Ceti system. The journey had taken 6 months using the gravity drive technology that Dr. Carter had developed based on the alien designs. Commander Allen. West stood on the bridge of the Retribution, his eyes fixed on the main screen as the familiar blue-green planet came into view. Scan for artificial structures and energy signatures, he ordered, his voice calm despite the tension that filled the bridge. This was the moment they had prepared for over 5 years. The moment humanity would face those who had killed their explorers without mercy. Lieutenant Grace Miller worked at her tactical station, her fingers moving quickly across the display. Multiple settlements detected on the planet's surface, Commander. Similar to what the Curiosity reported. She paused, her brow furrowing. But I'm only detecting 12 orbital platforms and 7 ships total in the system. That's far fewer than we expected. Commander West frowned. Intelligence had predicted a significant alien military presence. They had prepared to face hundreds of the purple warships, not a mere handful. Maintain alert status, he said. This could be a trap. Paul, are you picking up any communications? Communications specialist Paul Rivera adjusted his headset, his dark eyes intent on his screens. Yes, sir. Quite a lot of traffic, actually. I'm running it through our translation matrix based on Dr. Powell's work from the Curiosity data. The ship's computer worked to decipher the alien language, building on the foundation that Dr. Samantha Powell had created before her death. Slowly, the strange symbols began to transform into something understandable. Paul's eyes widened. Sir, they don't know we're here yet. Their communications suggest normal daily activities. No alert status, no preparations for defense. They're not expecting us, Grace said, looking up from her station. They've forgotten about the Curiosity, or they never considered us a threat. A cold anger settled in Commander West's chest. The aliens had killed 23 humans and thought nothing more of it. As if swatting a fly, communications send a message to all ships. We proceed with Operation First Strike as planned, but with modified targets. Lieutenant Miller, identify their key defensive positions and military installations. Grace studied the sensor data, creating a map of the alien defenses. The orbital platforms appear to be their main system protection. Each one has energy signatures consistent with the weapons used against the Curiosity. Their ships are spread throughout the system, likely on patrol routes. West nodded, studying the tactical display. We'll divide our forces. 5 groups, each targeting different critical points simultaneously. We'll show them humanity is not to be underestimated. The Earth fleet split into 5 attack groups. The Retribution-led Alpha group toward the largest concentration of orbital platforms. As they approached, Paul reported movement from the alien. Defenses. They've spotted us, Commander. Communications traffic increasing dramatically. They appear confused rather than alarmed. Let's change that, West said grimly. All ships, weapons free. Target the platforms first. The Retribution fired its main particle beam, a weapon developed using a combination of human innovation and insights gained from studying the Curiosity data. The beam struck the nearest platform, cutting through its shields and structure in seconds. The platform exploded in a ball of blue and purple fire. Across the system, the other Earth attack groups engaged their targets with similar success. The aliens, caught completely unprepared, scrambled to respond. 2 of their patrol ships rushed toward Alpha Group, firing energy weapons similar to those that had destroyed the Curiosity. Evasive maneuvers, West ordered as blue beams sliced through space around them. The Retribution rolled and turned with surprising agility for its size, avoiding direct hits. Grace targeted the enemy vessels with the ship's secondary weapon systems, firing missile barrage, pattern Delta. Dozens of missiles streaked toward the alien ships, overwhelming their defenses. 1 vessel exploded immediately. The second managed to avoid most of the barrage, but was crippled, drifting in space with its engines dark. Sir? Paul called out, excitement in his voice. I'm intercepting their distress signals. Our translation software is working. They're calling for reinforcements, but... He paused, listening intently. They're referring to us as the vengeance of the Forgotten Ones. They remember the Curiosity. Throughout the system, the battle unfolded with similar results. The Earth ships, with their combined human ingenuity and adapted alien technology, outmaneuvered and outgunned the unprepared defenders. 3 hours after the first shot was fired, the orbital platforms were destroyed, and 5 of the 7 alien vessels were either destroyed or disabled. The remaining 2 ships fled toward a point at the edge of the system, disappearing in flashes of light that indicated faster-than-light travel. Track their course, West ordered. I want to know where they're going. Grace worked quickly at her station. Based on their trajectory, they appear to be heading toward a star system, approximately 12 light-years from here. The data suggests it might be their homeworld or a major military base. Paul continued monitoring the alien communications. As the translation software improved, he began to understand more of what the aliens were saying. His expression grew serious as he turned to Commander West. Sir, I've learned something important. These aliens, they call themselves the Vesar. They're not just random aggressors. From what I can piece together, they control dozens of star systems. They've been expanding their territory for centuries, destroying or subjugating any other spacefaring species they encounter. He tapped his console, bringing up more translated text. They consider it their right to rule space. The Curiosity was destroyed simply because it entered what they consider their domain without permission. West absorbed this information. Its implications clear. This wasn't a simple matter of avenging the Curiosity anymore. Earth faced an empire that would never allow humans to explore the stars freely. "Send all this data back to Earth immediately," he ordered, "and prepare a scout team to investigate the disabled Vexar vessel. I want to know everything about these aliens, their technology, their biology, their weaknesses." As the Earth fleet secured the Tau Ceti system, the first major victory for humanity in interstellar space, Commander West looked at the blue-green planet below, the place where the Curiosity had made its discovery and met its end. "We came back," he said quietly, "and we're not leaving until justice is done." Across 12 light-years of space, the two fleeing Vexar ships carried urgent warnings to their leaders. The primitive species they had dismissed years ago had returned with unexpected strength and technology. The humans had declared war, and the first battle had not gone as the Vexar expected. For the first time in centuries, the Vexar Empire faced a threat they had not anticipated, a species that refused to be forgotten, a species that demanded respect. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage. On the Vexar homeworld of Zexelar, the Supreme Council gathered in an emergency session. The circular chamber, lined with purple crystal pillars, buzzed with angry voices. High Commander Zexul stood in the center, his gray skin pale with stress, as he faced the 7 council members. "How is this possible?" demanded Council Leader Varsik, her voice cutting through the noise. "You assured us these humans were primitive. You said their destruction was necessary, but insignificant." Zexul's four-fingered hands clenched at his sides. "The human ship we destroyed 8 cycles ago was primitive. We had no reason to believe they could advance so quickly or find us again. Yet here they are," said another council member, "destroying our outposts and defeating our ships with weapons similar to our own." Reports from across the Empire brought more disturbing news. The humans had not stopped at Tau Ceti. 3 more Vexar-controlled systems had been attacked in the past month. The pattern was always the same. The human fleet would appear suddenly, strike with overwhelming force, and then disappear before reinforcements could arrive. For the first time in centuries, the Vexar Empire faced a threat they could not easily crush. A species that learned, adapted, and fought back with unexpected ferocity not far from the Vexar homeworld. The Earth fleet had established a forward base on a small moon in a system they had captured. Commander Alan West stood in the command center, studying a star map with his senior officers. Red markers showed confirmed Vexar strongholds, while blue markers indicated systems now under human control. 4 systems secured, West said, but their empire is vast. We're making progress, but not quickly enough. Lieutenant Grace Miller pointed to a section of the map. Our scouts report heavy defenses in this sector. The Vexar are adapting to our tactics. They're starting to coordinate their responses better. Communications specialist Paul Rivera nodded in agreement. The messages we're intercepting show they're taking us seriously now. They've even given us a name in their language. That translates roughly to the Vengeful Ghosts. West allowed himself a small smile at that. Good. Let them fear us. But fear can make them desperate, which means we need to be prepared for a stronger response. As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the base. A young officer rushed into the command center. "Sir, our long-range sensors have detected a large Vexar fleet heading toward the Tau Ceti system. At least 50 ships, possibly more." West's expression hardened. "They're trying to retake their first loss. Signal all ships to prepare for immediate departure. We need to intercept them before they reach Tau Ceti." The Earth fleet, now expanded to 65 ships with reinforcements from home, moved to intercept the Vexar counterattack. As they prepared for the largest battle of the war so far, a transmission arrived from Earth. President Lara Bennett's face appeared on the main screen of the Retribution's bridge. Though the message had taken weeks to reach them, her determination, was clear. Commander West, Earth continues to stand united behind your mission. Our production facilities work around the clock to build more ships. But we've also made another significant breakthrough. The screen changed to show Dr. Jason Carter in his laboratory. The scientist looked tired but triumphant. Commander, we've analyzed the data you sent back from the captured Vexar vessels. Their technology is impressive, but we've noticed something strange. It hasn't evolved significantly in centuries. They've refined their existing systems, but they've stopped innovating. He held up a small device. In contrast, we've made new advancements weekly. This shield modulator can counter their main weapons by shifting frequencies faster than they can adjust. Every ship in the second wave will carry these, along with other improvements. The news gave the fleet renewed confidence as they approached the coming battle. The Vexar might outnumber them, but humanity had something the aliens had lost the drive to adapt and overcome. The two fleets met in the empty space between stars. The Vexar formation was larger than intelligence had predicted, nearly 70. Ships arranged in a precise attack pattern. The purple hulls of their vessels gleamed menacingly against the black of space. They've improved their shields, Grace reported from her tactical station, and their weapons have been modified. They're learning from our previous encounters. So are we, West replied. Deploy in Formation Delta. Active shield modulators on all ships. The Earth fleet spread out in a complex pattern designed to disrupt the Vexar formation. As the alien ships opened fire, the new shield technology proved its worth. Beams that would have cut through their hulls in previous battles were now absorbed or deflected. The battle raged for hours. Ships on both sides were damaged or destroyed. The space between the fleets became a graveyard of debris and escape pods. Unlike the Vexar, the Earth ships made every effort to rescue survivors, both human and alien. On the Retribution's bridge, West made a decision that would change the course of the war. When sensors detected a disabled Vexar command ship drifting nearby, he ordered a boarding party. "Sir, are you sure?" Grace asked. "We've never attempted direct contact before. This war won't be won by destruction alone," West replied. "We need to understand them better. And perhaps it's time they understood us." The boarding party, led by Security Chief Ben Nelson, entered the alien vessel with caution. Inside, they found wounded Vexar crew members and frightened support personnel. Following West's orders, they offered medical assistance instead of violence. The Vexar were confused by this behavior. In their experience, victors did not show mercy to the defeated. It was not their way. When the Vexar ship's commander was brought to the Retribution as a prisoner, Paul Rivera used his improved translation system to communicate directly. The alien, who identified himself as Sub-Commander Kexman, asked, "Simple question. Why do you not kill us all, as we would have done to you?" Commander West's answer was equally simple. "Because we are human. We came to your space in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship. You responded with violence. Now we respond with strength, but our goal remains the same: to exist in this galaxy, alongside others, not to conquer or destroy." The sub-commander did not understand. In the Vexar Empire, strength meant dominance, and dominance meant the right to destroy those who opposed you. "This is why you will lose this war," West told him. "You've forgotten how to grow, how to change. Humanity faced extinction at your hands, and in response, we became stronger than we ever dreamed possible. What will the Vexar become when faced with the same challenge?" As the Earth fleet regrouped after their victory, the captured Vexar prisoners were treated according to human laws of war. This decision was controversial among some crew members who had lost friends in the fighting, but West stood firm. "We fight to protect humanity," he told his officers. "But if we become like them in the process, what are we protecting?" The message of this unexpected mercy began to spread through Vexar communications. A species that could show strength and restraint was something new in their experience. A dangerous idea began to form in the minds of some Vexar. Perhaps there was another way to exist in the galaxy. 3 years had passed since humanity's first strike against the Vexar. The war had spread across dozens of star systems, pulling in other alien species that had long suffered under Vexar domination. What began as Earth's quest for justice had transformed into a galactic uprising against an empire built on fear. On the Vexar homeworld, High Commander Zexul stood before a damaged holographic display. The map of the empire showed more red than purple now, more territory lost than maintained. His once proud posture had become stooped, his gray skin now ashen with stress and lack of sleep. "The humans have liberated the Krilk system," reported a junior officer, fear evident in his voice. No one wanted to bring bad news to Zexul anymore. His temper had grown legendary as the war turned against them. And the Bel Turi rebels? Zexul demanded, naming another species that had been under Vexar control for generations. "They have joined the human alliance. Their ships fight alongside Earth vessels now." Zexul smashed his fist against the display, causing it to flicker. "This cannot continue. The Council demands action. Prepare the reserve fleet. We will strike at the heart of this rebellion." "The human homeworld?" the officer asked, his 4 eyes widening in shock. "But sir, it's 12 systems away, deep in their defended territory." "Which is why they won't expect us," Zexul snarled. "We've intercepted enough of their communications to know the location of their Earth. We gather every remaining ship and strike directly at their origin point. Cut off the head, and the body dies." Far from the Vexar homeworld, Captain Olivia, haze of the scout ship Horizon, drifted silently in her observation position. The Horizon was the newest class of Earth vessel, designed for stealth rather than combat. Its mission was to monitor Vexar fleet movements and provide early warning of major attacks. Olivia's brown eyes narrowed as she watched the activity around the Vexar shipyards through the ship's advanced sensors. "They're mobilizing everything," she said to her second-in-command. "Even ships that look half-finished." "A last desperate stand?" suggested her officer. "Maybe." Olivia wasn't convinced. She had developed a good understanding of Vexar tactics over 3 years of observing them. "No, this is something else. They're gathering for a major strike, not a defensive position." As she watched, the Vexar ships began to form up in a way she hadn't seen before. When the largest command ship moved into position, a chill ran down her spine as she recognized its unique energy signature. "That's Zexul's flagship," she said. "The High Commander himself is leading this fleet." She turned to her communications officer. "Send an encrypted message to Fleet Command immediately. The Vexar are planning something big, and their supreme military leader is personally involved." Before the message could be sent, sensors blared a warning. "Captain, we've been detected. 3 Vexar patrol ships are moving to intercept." "Evasive maneuvers," Olivia ordered. "We need to get that message out before they catch us." The Horizon turned and accelerated away from the Vexar fleet, its stealth systems compromised. The patrol ships followed, gaining quickly. "Message sent," the communications officer reported as energy beams flashed past the ship. "Good work," Olivia said as the ship shuddered under a direct hit. "Now get to the escape pods, all of you." "Captain?" Her second-in-command questioned. "That's an order. I'll set the ship on a different course to draw them away. The pods have enough stealth capability to avoid detection if they're not looking for them specifically." The crew reluctantly obeyed as the ship took more damage. Olivia remained at the helm, guiding the dying Horizon on a course away from where the escape pods would launch. As her crew safely evacuated, she sent one final message, adding critical details about the Vexar fleet composition and likely target. Her last words before the horizon, exploded under Vexar fire, were simple. "Tell Earth they're coming." On Earth, the message from the horizon arrived during an ordinary day. The war had become background noise for many civilians, something happening far away that rarely affected daily life. But in the headquarters of the Earth Defense Force, alarms blared as the content of Captain Hayes' final transmission became clear. Admiral Daniel Ross, who had replaced General Martinez as head of Earth's defenses, called an emergency meeting. Of all senior military leaders, "The Vexar are making a push for Earth," he announced without preamble. "Captain Hayes gave her life to warn us. According to her data, we have approximately 2 weeks before they arrive in our system." "How many ships?" someone asked. "At least 300. They've committed everything they have left." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth's home fleet consisted of only 120 vessels. Many of their best ships and crews were spread across the galaxy, pushing the front lines of the war far from home. "Recall as many ships as possible," Admiral Ross ordered, "and bring the planetary defense grid to full readiness. We've prepared for this possibility since the beginning. Now we implement the final defense plan." Dr. Kevin Morris, who had taken over Dr. Powell's work on Vexar communications, spoke up. "Sir, there's something else. The data from the horizon shows unusual signals among the Vexar fleet. There appears to be disagreement in their ranks. Some of their ships were actually trying to prevent the fleet from forming. Civil conflict?" Ross asked. "Possibly." Kevin nodded. "The treatment of our prisoners, the mercy shown by Commander West, these things have had an effect. Not all Vexar believe this war should continue." Admiral Ross considered this information. "Interesting, but we can't count on it helping us. We prepare for the worst and hope for the best." 2 weeks later, the largest space battle in human history began in the asteroid belt of Earth's solar system. The Vexar fleet, led by High Commander Zexul's massive flagship, pushed into the system with single-minded determination. Earth's defenders met them with equal resolve. The battle raged for days. Ships on both sides were destroyed by the dozens. The space around Mars became a graveyard of broken vessels and debris. But humanity had one critical advantage. They were fighting for their home. With nowhere to retreat. In the final hours of the conflict, Admiral Ross implemented a strategy that Commander West had developed based on their years of fighting the Vexar. Rather than trying to destroy Zexul's flagship, they disabled its engines and weapon systems with precision strikes. A boarding team led by Dr. Kevin Morris and protected by veteran soldiers who had fought since the beginning of the war entered the massive Vexar vessel. They fought their way to the command center, where High Commander Zexul awaited them, expecting only death. Instead, Dr. Morris stepped forward with a functioning translation device. "High Commander," he said in the Vexar language, "this war ends today. Not with your extinction or ours, but with understanding." In the silence that followed, as human and Vexar representatives began the difficult process of negotiation, the spirit of the 23 explorers who had died on the Curiosity seemed to watch over them. Their last words had reached Earth and sparked a war. Now, new words would bring peace. 6 months later, on the anniversary of the Curiosity's destruction, a memorial was unveiled in orbit above Earth. The names of all who had died in the war were inscribed there. Human and alien alike, beneath the words that had started it all, "We came in peace." They did not. "We returned with justice and leave with hope." The galaxy would never be the same again, and humanity had found its place among the stars.